Hello, third grade, and welcome to our third lesson about narrative writing. Quickly, we'll review that narrative writing is a writing that the main character writes, and it is a true story about their life. Now, today we're going to look at a part called dialogue. We looked last week about leads and things we can use to start our story and get the reader's attention. And one of those parts was dialogue, how people talk. Now, dialogue are exact words that a character says, and then it states what character said it. Now, when we are punctuating this dialogue, we use quotation marks. So you'll see quotation marks before the dialogue and after the dialogue. Anything in between there is what the character says. They will add a tag at the end of who said it. So, I baked some cookies, said Mom. That's what Mom said. I baked cookies. I love when you bake cookies, I exclaimed. See how everything that the character said is inside the quotation marks. I can have 2 cookies, I asked. Everything in the quotations is what the character said. Now we can have the tag at the beginning or at the end of who says the dialogue. So maybe instead of having said Mom at the end, we could say Mom said, I baked some cookies. Some examples of having the tag at the beginning or who is saying the quotation, the dialogue, is she whispered, don't wake the baby. And everything in quotation marks is how she said it and what she said. Another example, I asked, can I hold the baby? And third exclaimed, of course you can. We're going to read an example of a personal narrative that uses dialogue. On your class kick, I would like you to highlight any of the dialogue that you see. You can highlight the tag at the end as well. For example, this first sentence, I can't believe we are actually here. I would highlight that whole part. It is telling me what a character is saying. Let's go ahead and begin. The happiest place on earth. I can't believe we're actually here, I exclaimed. The feeling of butterflies in my tummy had not stopped since we had gotten out of our car in the parking lot and began walking towards the happiest place on earth. I felt the excitement rise inside me from the bottom of my feet to the top of my head. My family was next in line to hand our tickets to the smiling man in the bright blue and red uniform. Welcome to Disneyland! You are now entering the happiest place on earth, the ticket taker exclaimed. Highlight that dialogue. I looked at my sister, and she was wearing a grin from ear to ear. As we walked through the turnstile, I stopped to take in my surroundings. There were beautiful flowers carefully planted throughout the entrance. My eyes got wider as I saw thousands of flowers working together to make a giant Mickey Mouse head. I observed as families upon families took their pictures in front of it. Let's go, bud, my dad called out to me as my family walked in front of me. I hurried to catch up with my family. The giant green iron gates stood open, inviting us in. There were so many things to see. I watched as kids ran up to little white and red carts that were selling colorful Mickey head-shaped balloons. Also, there was a little red and black trolley cart selling gigantic corn dogs. The aroma of buttery popcorn wafted under my nose. Next, I saw Goofy and Pluto waving to us as I walked slowly, taking it all in. There were rows of shops that lined the streets, selling toys, candy apples, and stuffed animals from every Disney movie. Suddenly, My eyes saw the most enormous blue, white, and gold castle. It was the castle from Sleeping Beauty. Well, kiddos, where should we go first? Questioned Mom. Highlight that dialogue. I glanced at my sister. Her mouth hung open. Her eyes were wide open in wonder as mine. Finally, her eyes met mine, and her shoulders raised in a shrug. I closed my eyes and pointed blindly to a spot on the map in her hands. I opened them to see where my finger landed. We all exchanged looks and nodded in agreement. There were big smiles all around. Lead the way, kiddos, Dad hollered. My sister and I were off before we had finished this sentence. We had never been so excited to explore such an incredible place. Now, on your assignment today, after you've written down some examples of dialogue and highlighted from our story, I want you to write a short narrative about your morning. So I'm going to give an example of my morning, and then you're going to write a narrative of yours. So I'm going to first make sure that I have hit the tab button and have 5 spaces to start my paragraph. I woke up in a rush. I'm also going to add some parts of the lead. Ring. My alarm was blaring out so loud. Will you turn off your alarm? Said my husband. Tab. I rolled over and shut off my alarm to get ready for the day. I made myself some coffee and left for work. Good morning, Mrs. Tingley, said a teacher passing by me in the hallway. I was so excited to get my day started with my e-learning students. I want you to notice that when I am using dialogue, if there is someone different talking, I put those in different paragraphs, okay? So this teacher is different than my husband, so they are in different paragraphs. And in this paragraph, I'm talking more about my day, not what my husband was doing, so I used another paragraph. On the side of yours, you are also going to add your own dialogue in a short narrative. Once you're finished with your activity, you're done with Writer's Workshop for today.